I collected well over 100 flooring samples from almost every company in every format, shape, and style. And I did this all for you. Okay, I did it for me because once you put your flooring down, it probably isn't coming back up, making your flooring potentially the most important decision of your gym, and one we almost all overlook. And I apologize ahead of time to the guys who are about to spam the comments with horse stall mats, but there's no one-size-fits-all solution. Everyone's budget, wants, and needs are different, and I've tried it all. I built my own platform, which I loved having to clean all the time so that my feet wouldn't slip during bench or squat. Also, my wife tripped on it a lot, so I eventually cut it apart and used the end as a deadlift platform, which my wife tripped on a lot. So I did what most people do, just put horse stall mats everywhere, because if it's strong enough for a horse, it'll probably hold up to your 135-pound deadlift. I'm kidding. You probably out deadlift me. And it doesn't matter if I offended you anyway. The YouTube dislike button literally does nothing now. There are a lot of options. You can purchase tiles made of various materials, rolled out flooring like we opted for. That's what you'll find in commercial gyms. Of course, there's turf, stall mats, and many quality levels and options in between. We'll cover it all. If you enjoy our content and want to reward the literal years I put into this, then please hit that subscribe button so I can pretend the small part of my soul I sold to make this video was worth it. I've also linked all the flooring we'll talk about below, and some of those links are affiliates. So if you click one and purchase something, you'll be directly supporting the channel and helping to keep this thing going. So thank you. The first question you need to answer is, what are you trying to accomplish with your flooring? Good quality flooring will not only protect what's underneath, but your equipment as well. We've deadlifted and done Olympic lifts with millions of pounds of weight in every inch of this place, which makes us sound much stronger than saying our actual weights. But after removing our mats, we didn't find any cracks, chips, or issues in the concrete, and our equipment still looks and works great. I've never been delicate, and I make sure to make as much noise as possible so my neighbors know who's boss around here, although flooring will reduce the noise in your gym as well. Or maybe you're only concerned with the only thing that matters in life, looks. I loved every iteration of my gym, from back when I was piecing together stall mats anytime I had a few dollars to where we're at now. But there's no denying this is the nicest our space has ever looked. And after years of tweaking and upgrading things, the single biggest upgrade we made was our current flooring. But even if you don't have a ton of money to spend, every option we talk about will result in a more polished and professional look for your space. And sure, Mr. "It doesn't matter what your gym looks like, just shut up and lift" has a point, but it's a dumb point. And a well-designed gym is more inviting, meaning it'll be easier to motivate yourself to spend time making yourself miserable in it. And the entire gym starts with the floor. Before we get too far into this and talk about every type and style and budget level of rubber flooring, we need to take a minute to break down what you should be looking for in your flooring. This will better explain why I ended up choosing who I did after years of research. Everything from the thickness, layering, material, color, and so on. All these things affect price. Your color choice is based on personal preference, but it can play a big role in the cost. Let me show you some examples of the variety here. Rubber flooring is made from recycled rubber, although EPDM and other synthetic rubbers can be utilized, but the base material will be recycled rubber tires, hence why it's typically black. Horse stall mats are a great example of that. They have a consistent black coloring throughout. From there, you can introduce flecking. More fleck means more color, but also higher prices. Our gym flooring has a 30% light gray fleck in it, meaning 30% of the flooring has gray flecks in it, making it brighter, but it also tends to hide dirt and stains better than a pure black or pure whatever color would. Don't get me wrong, nothing hides the monsoon of mud that 3 kids bring in, but the flecking does help. The amount of color is up to you, but you can get almost any color combination you want, from black to partial flecked, all the way up to solid colors. The next thing you'll have to decide is, how thick do you want your flooring? At Gluck's gym, we like them thick, so our flooring is 3/4 of an inch. Since we're constantly moving equipment around, we lift everywhere and anywhere, we need one smooth, level surface. Do you need 3/4 inch thick flooring throughout your entire space? No. Commercial gyms typically use 8mm thick flooring, which is less than half as thick, but a quality 3/4 inch flooring is basically indestructible. You can't damage it. That's not a challenge, by the way, but it'll protect your floor regardless of what you're doing in here. Believe me, there's not many people dumber than me, and my floors were perfect after years of abuse. The flip side to that is the thicker it is, the more pain it's going to cause your wallet. So if you decide to save some money and get something thinner and you're worried about your floor, you can build a platform like the one I promised to make a tutorial video on years ago and still haven't. You can buy a platform or just stack another layer of flooring on top of where you do your deadlifts or ollie lifts. Rubber flooring ranges from about 6mm all the way up to a few inches thick. But why ever go thicker or thinner than 3/4 of an inch? Well, I wouldn't go over, but there are quality levels and other factors at play, price being the most important of them. Here's a good example. This 8mm thick blemish tile is actually a little less expensive than horse stall mats. And this performance monster flooring from Ecor would cost you multiple kidneys. Ecor is an industry leader. They make very nice stuff, but this is overkill for a home gym. I brought it out to show you how some companies use layering. This is almost 1 inch thick. The thin top layer is very dense and has your color and flecking. This one is 95% flecked. The next layer has no color, essentially saving them and hopefully you some money, and then the base layer or underlayment is less dense. It's a little spongy and intended to absorb more shock and sound. Personally, I think while the absorption layer does have some effect, it's also cheaper for them to produce, which is probably the bigger motivating factor there. This is made from vulcanized rubber. Well, technically, so are horse stall mats, but not all rubber flooring is vulcanized. And technically, vulcanization is a process, not a type of rubber. But what kind of nerd would attack me in the comments on that one? I can't wait to find out. The vulcanization process makes the rubber more durable than crumb rubber, although both have a very high wear resistance. The additives, bonding agents, and accelerants used in the process can give it a stronger smell, but it also makes it non-porous, so it's easier to clean and a little more hygienic. Of course, none of that matters if you can't afford it. Luckily, you've got a lot of great options. To make things simpler, and so we can visualize prices and streamline this video, I took way too long to make this cool looking little graph that will fill up with prices as we go. To keep things fair, everything will be priced per square foot with shipping included. But before you attack me, just realize your shipping rates and therefore prices will be different based on where you live and how much you're buying. The cheapest flooring I often see recommended is these EVA foam tiles. We paid under $1 a square foot for this, but I wouldn't use it to lift on. That doesn't mean these don't have other uses. For a yoga or fitness corner, they're much more comfortable than dense rubber. They're a cheaper solution than our gym mat child prison we made to keep our babies safe, but you want a strong, stable platform to lift on, and foam compresses, which introduces instability and unpredictability in your lifts. They also tend to slip and slide easily, aren't durable, and the edges have a habit of coming up, creating more fun spots for, you guessed it, my wife to trip on. I get the appeal. They're made in a lot of pretty colors, installation and breakdown is a breeze, and per square foot, there's no cheaper option. Sure, there's various densities, thicknesses, and even styles to choose from, but even a cheap one with a thin layer of rubber on top costs $2 a foot or more, and at that price, you can get something so much better. But as I always say, I don't care what you buy, as long as you support the channel by using our links to buy it. Which brings us to budget option number 2. In an effort to instantly contradict myself with the affiliate link supporting the channel thing, the option I recommend to most people isn't one we'll ever make a dime off of. Yes, for most people, horse stall mats are probably the cheapest and may be your best solution. Look, reality is at under $2.50 a foot for a 4 foot by 6 foot mat, These things are incredibly solid. So just go to your local Tractor Supply and be disappointed the only ones they have are the wrong size or have that damn diamond pattern on top. But don't worry, the 6th store you visit will have a few in stock and you can spend the next few months searching for ones that match. Although, ideally, you get them all at once because not all mats are created equal. We've had mats that are almost 1/4 of an inch off in height when matched up side by side, and we've had ones with pitting and other issues, so make sure you check them all out in person before buying. Also, they tend to smell, so be sure to check them before bringing them inside because there's nothing more fun than figuring out the best way to carry a bunch of 100-pound horse stall mats around only to have to do it all over again to remove them. Jokes aside, they're the most popular for a reason. They provide a great foundation to lift off of and are grippy so you won't be sliding around. They may not be the prettiest option, but you can doll them up by putting Gorilla Tape on the seams, which will help keep them in place and cover the gaps, which makes cleaning them easier. But what about my flooring? It's made by Hammerclad and exclusively sold by Freedom Fitness Equipment, and while there are a lot of great options out there, after collecting a ton of samples and spending years convincing myself it was time to upgrade, I think they have the best price to quality ratio out there. That's not me telling you they make the world's best flooring, but it is me telling you I wanted to stay married. So while I looked at options from high-end companies like Ecor, Northwest Rubber, and Play, I didn't pick any of them because I couldn't afford to. Also, I really didn't notice enough of a difference in the ultra premium offerings versus Hammerclads, making the $20,000 price tag Play would have cost me, by the time I bought glue, a hard pill to swallow. That doesn't mean my space was cheap to outfit, but bear with me because every option I'm about to talk to you about is drastically cheaper than getting custom-made flooring like I did. So let's step through all the options Hammerclad has. From mats of various thicknesses to tiles all the way to the rolled flooring we've got. And even if you don't buy from them, you'll still end up with all the information you need to make your own decision. Rubber tile may actually end up being your cheapest option, and it's easy to install. This 8mm thick tile cost about $2.30 a square foot. So even though it's not as thick as a stall mat, it's a little less expensive, and that's not their cheapest option. Tiles come in 2-foot squares and literally click into place and lock together. Since it's heavy, the edges won't come up like with EVA foam, and you don't need to tape the edges like with stall mats. Sure, it won't have a perfectly seamless look like our rolled flooring, but a high quality rubber tile looks really good when installed, and it doesn't need to be glued down, although the thinner it is, the more apt it'll be to shift, so you can tape it down. You may have to do some cutting or trimming depending on your space, but that's true of all flooring, and I've cut dozens of stall mats and 3/4 inch thick rolls, and it sucks. That's a benefit of a thinner flooring. It's so much easier to work with. So while I've got tricks like using a soft material blade on a jigsaw to cut flooring, I do still wonder how much of my life I've taken inhaling the fumes. Tiles also come in various colors and thicknesses, and Freedom Fitness has options ranging from about $1.50 a foot for blemished 1/4 inch tile up to around $4 a foot shipped. You can get thicker tile and even styles with the connectors hidden underneath from different places, but both tend to get expensive, and mats and rolls often end up costing much less. A quick note on Freedom Fitness Equipment's prices. You can save 5% over there by using code Gluck, and they also sell blemished flooring, which, if you're lucky enough to find some in stock, because it sells out very quickly, will save you even more because it's marked down. It's brand new flooring that doesn't meet their strict standards on aesthetics. So they'll have cosmetic imperfections like a line, but most of the time, based on what I've seen, it's pretty hard to spot, and the blemishes don't affect functionality. If tiles aren't for you, or if your horse is just too fancy for regular old stall mats, Freedom Fitness sells mats as well. These aren't horse stall mats like Tractor Supply sells. Like all Hammerclad flooring, it's a higher quality product. There's flecked ones the material is sourced from and manufactured here in the US, like their other products, And like with other high-end options, they're using higher quality bonding agents and mixing in synthetic rubbers like EPDM with crumb rubber, which not only results in a better quality overall, but because they're using polyurethane binding agents, their flooring smells less than horse stall mats, and it lets them have this cute little third-party certification saying so. You'll have a lot of choices ranging from 8 millimeters thick up to 3/4 of an inch, and those too can be found in various colors and with discounted prices due to blemishes. Just one note on these: 4-foot by 6-foot mats are large and heavy, so they have to be shipped by freight on a pallet, which can be expensive, although that cost tends to be less drastic the more you buy. For example, if I outfit my entire space with their premium flecked 3/4 inch mats, it would cost me about $3.50 a foot, but a smaller space of 150 square feet would be close to $6 a foot. Of course, thinner options are lighter to ship and cheaper to produce, and putting 8 millimeter thick blemished mats in here would cost me less than $2 a square foot shipped, and in our hypothetical 150 square foot gym, it would cost around $3.50 a foot. Okay, so what about rolled flooring? It's the absolute highest end option. Nothing looks better than rolled flooring. If a premium rolled flooring is installed correctly, you won't see the seams. I mean, you'd literally have to be on your hands and knees searching in here to find the seams. So it must be ludicrously expensive, right? Well, as always, it depends. If you're not a prima donna like me, custom ordering thicker flooring, it might not be as expensive as you think. I could have gotten this whole place covered in 8 millimeter thick rolled hammer-clad flooring with the same 30% fleck color for $3.55 a foot. And going with a pure black color would have cost me $2.80 a foot. Now, to be clear, I'm not trying to be deceitful with the pricing. I'm ordering 1,200 feet of flooring, so my per foot price will be lower than yours, and you'd still need glue, or you can use their double-sided tape. And if you're not installing it yourself, you should factor that into the price as well. But to get a rough idea of cost, you can check their listing and have it calculate shipping for you. Just realize rolled flooring is harder for me to give you a price on because it's all done with custom quotes. We also got our turf from Freedom Fitness equipment, and like with the flooring, they offer a lot of options. Different thicknesses, indoor or outdoor, turf tiles or rolls, you name it. We again collected an insane amount of samples and picked Freedom Fitness because they provide a great value for the quality you're getting. They even put our logo on ours, and I gotta say, the flooring is insane, but that turf strip just brings it to a new level. Now, for as much time and effort as I put into researching options, reality is I'm not a professional installer and I don't handle this stuff every day. So when I made my final choice, I was pretty nervous. If I was wrong, I'm quite literally screwed. So when the installers came and put this in, not only did they do a fantastic job, but they explained to me all the little details and nuances only people like them would notice. How precisely the edges were cut so you don't end up with any visible seams. How the flecking was consistent, so even though the manufacturer numbered the rolls so you knew which ones to put next to which, the color was consistent throughout. And how the tolerances, I never even thought about tolerances on rubber flooring, but every inch of this place is perfectly level. So was it expensive? Sure, I could have saved money, but this was the absolute best possible result for me. Let me know what you think though. Thanks to our patrons for helping us to keep this channel alive, and thanks for watching.